What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to ForTheFans with me and my co-host Ben. Coming up in today's show, we finally have a guest. Spencer FC is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking all about England's World Cup, get our teeth right into the Italy-Uruguay game, and discuss the late drama that occurred in Group C as Greece and Samras's army scraped through to the next round. Let's get straight into this.
Day 14 is upon us, it's the World Cup, and here we are. As always, I'm joined by Jack.
How you doing, Ben?
And today, as promised, we have a guest. After my issues yesterday, Spencer joins us. Spencer, how you doing?
I'm fine, mate. Thanks for having me.
That's a pleasure. What do you do? Who are you? What do you do? For people that don't know, I'm sure people will know, but for people that don't know, who are you? What do you do?
So, yeah, I make videos on YouTube, mostly around FIFA and football. And I've got a number of channels actually, but my main channel is called Spencer FC, youtube.com/Spencer FC if you want to check it out, mate. And basically, yeah, I try and make some reasonably unique content in that area.
And I recommend it. So there you are. There's the seal of approval. So shall we crack on? We'll start with our boys, shall we? We'll get England out of the way. Not much happened yesterday, so we might struggle to fill the show. But we'll start with England-Costa Rica. Roy made 9 changes, Spencer. How did you feel it went?
Well, I thought before the game it was basically a lose-lose situation, because if we won, everyone would be like, why didn't we use that team for the whole tournament? And if we lost, obviously, we lost. So I actually kind of feel like a draw is the best result, which is weird. And also it means that we drew with a team that neither Uruguay or Italy beat. So, I'm clutching at straws here. I'm trying to find positives out of a terrible tournament, basically. But I think it could have gone a lot worse, is the best way to say it. I mean, it would have been great for Rooney or Sturridge to put one of their chances away. But fundamentally, we kept a clean sheet against a team that's performed beyond anyone's expectations. And it was nice to end the catastrophe of the World Cup without too many more disasters.
Indeed, we'll take the point. Jack, what did you think about the selection then? Were you surprised by any of it? Happy with any of it?
I was pretty happy, to be honest, to see what Roy did. I feel as if, as much as he wanted to kind of paint it as kind of, I don't want to play this rotated team to give them match time, that's what it was, ultimately. And like Spence said, if we had won the game, there would have been a bit of uproar about, why didn't you drop Rooney sooner? So for me, watching the game, I was treating it almost like a friendly in many ways. A friendly with maybe a little bit more on the line in terms of experience that players could actually gain from it. 0-0 was pretty underwhelming. I was disappointed that we couldn't take the mantle of unofficial FIFA World #1s off Costa Rica, who are the current holders of it.
Yeah.
But
you've been banging on about that for a while.
I have. I thought that was the little thing I could take away from the World Cup, was the fact Costa Rica could be beaten and we could become unofficial #1s. But alas, it didn't happen.
No, I was really disappointed with the fact Ben Foster played. I know it's a really menial thing, but I don't know what you're going to learn from playing Ben Foster, especially when you've got Fraser Forster on your bench, who's probably, in my opinion, as good a keeper as Ben Foster and a little bit younger. So it was strange to me that we didn't decide to play him. Aside from that, I don't really I understand why Lampard played, because it might be his last game, but I don't really enjoy the fact Roy's thinking, we'll just give out some pretty caps to Lampard. I know you may look at it as squad rotation, but to me, you should want to win a game at the World Cup, and I'm not sure playing the team you played yesterday is the right way to go about it. Sure, I think you should play players like Shaw, and you should give Sturridge and Sterling and Barkley that sort of chance. But I'm not I don't know what we learned from playing James Milner in the first half or playing Lampard.
The other thing I didn't get was, if you're going to play Lampard for a pity cap, please play Ricky Lambert for a pity cap. Just give him one at the World Cup. You know, you hear the fairy tale of Ricky Lambert. If they ever do a film about him, Disney, they're going to be bigging him up all the way through, and it's like, and he got to the World Cup, and then it's like, and he never made an appearance.
No, he
never made a start. He never made a start.
I think that the thing with Roy is, I think he says that he didn't play Frank for sentimental reasons, and I actually don't think he did. I think he's very scared of playing an England team without a really senior member in it.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to play Gerrard for obvious reasons. He wanted to give him that sort of experiment with other people, but he was too scared to not have Frank in there and say have Henderson and Wilshere on their own. So that's why he played him, and I sort of agree. I would have liked to have seen someone else in there. But then again, Henderson got 108. Well, he got subbed off, but he got two starts from the first two games, so he had a fair bit of time in this World Cup. But it just depends who else you could have put in there. I'd rather have Lampard played than Gerrard, because I think it was good that Gerrard didn't start. But yeah, I mean, whether they carry on after this World Cup is another issue, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask you about that issue. Do you think that they should just end it there, or do you think we need both of them, or one of them is what's been suggested to carry on in the future now?
Well, I don't understand why it's become this whole retirement thing has become a thing. Like, it's not what used to happen. Like, whether Roy wants to play him or not is a completely different issue. That's up to him. But they shouldn't be retiring. Why does everyone just retire now? Like,
they should do what Beckham did.
Yeah,
Beckham was like, give away the captaincy. If you want me, I'm still here. If you don't think I'm good enough, then that's fine. Like, I've enjoyed playing for my country, and that's what Gerrard and Lampard should be doing.
Exactly, and they'll always be available. It's kind of stupid, the whole retirement thing, because they'll always be. They're basically saying, I don't want to be selected on an ongoing basis, right? But they take people like Jamie Carragher did it. I mean, even Ben Foster did it. They've retired in the past, and then when they're needed, they unretire. But just don't retire then. Like, get a call up and say, I don't want this call up. Okay, you might not get another call up as a result, but if you're going to retire, you obviously don't want call ups anyway. So it's like, don't say I'm ruling myself out. And if you do rule yourself out. Don't change your mind 5 minutes later because you want to have a chance to play on the world stage. Like
that's called doing the Francesco Totti. Just I'll do it when I'm ready. When they want me, when the lights are on, I'll turn up. Jack, what do you think about Gerrard and Lampard? Do you want one of them, neither of them, both of them in the future?
I'd like to see them both kind of take a step back and not retire, but basically say, you know what, play people ahead of us, but we're here if you need to be, like you guys said. I think my favourite bit about yesterday's game was the fact that Gerrard and Lampard played alongside each other. It's been 10, 15 years of these two guys, and we've always debated, should they play alongside each other? And I love the fact that Roy was like, you know what, we're going to give it one last go against Costa Rica in a World Cup and see if the Lampard-Gerrard combo can work.
Well, he's got his checklist, obviously. He's got a clipboard out, and he's like, well, I've done most things. I've played the young players, we've rotated the goalkeeper. I've not played Frank and Gerrard together yet. Yeah, best do that. Stevie, on you go. Best get that done.
Should have called up Paul Scholes, got him involved as well.
Just
put him on the left mid again.
Get Beckham in there, Nicky Bart. That would be great. Picture it. So obviously we couldn't beat a Costa Rica side that, to me, have overperformed in this tournament, and they honestly didn't look too bothered. They were like, well, I don't want to be injured for the important games, and our England team still couldn't beat them. So that is, I don't know, a bit of a worry. Spencer, I'll ask you, what do you think about Roy? Would you keep him? Would you move him on?
Well, I think I can't remember who said it, but someone said something on TV the other day, which is a great way of really addressing the situation. Roy is not the problem. Like, the Roy Hodgson, whether he's the best manager in the world, he's not. He's not the best manager in the world. There's definitely probably better managers that could come in, but whoever that person isn't going to make England a winning side overnight. The problems of England, the reason that we've you can argue whether it's underperforming or not. The reasons we've played so badly for so long in major tournaments is deeply woven into the way that we educate our young players and train them, and the coaches and what they're taught in their coaching badges and everything. So I don't think changing the manager is going to make a big difference. I think when Roy came in, he was brought into an environment where people like Greg Dyke at the FA were saying that their long-term goal was to win a World Cup, not now, in 10 years, or in 8 years now. So Roy's job, his targets that he was being given as England manager was never to win a World Cup. There's other targets that are outside of the newspaper headlines that we don't know about, that are, you're going to just look after the team, you're going to instill a new kind of football or a new kind of attitude whilst we wait, essentially, for the new youngsters who've been brought up from a young age playing the right way to come through. So from the FA's point of view, who are fundamentally his employers, they're not expecting him to win anything. Yeah, they would have liked to have got some better results at the World Cup, but we all remember Greg Dyke's famous hand symbol when we got the draw, and he's saying it's the group of death, we're done already. So he wasn't expecting much more than that, and that's why Roy's still in the job. Yeah. I don't have a problem with him personally. I think sometimes he could be a little bit more exciting, maybe do some different substitutions. I found a bit underwhelmed when he was bringing Lallana on in the first two games, because I like Lallana, but I don't really feel like he's an impact sub, and I think he could have brought on Lambert earlier. But aside from that, a lot of our exciting players were injured. Walcott, Townsend. So I think Roy's okay for now. Really, give him another tournament.
It's interesting. I've been listening and reading to a lot of things, like a lot of the reaction to how England have effectively. I still think they've failed in this tournament, despite the expectation not being so high. I think they've failed. But people are saying that players like Sterling and Barkley and Shaw, Lallana, etc. They've not really grown up with England's heroes. They're growing up watching the likes of like the Spanish team, and they're their inspiration, and like that, their technique is based off what they've been watching, rather than. If you may argue they've looked at Gerrard and Rooney and whatnot and thought, yeah, I want to be like them, but in reality they're probably looking at Zidane and Iniesta and these players abroad, and they're going to bring that culture through because they've seen it, rather than having it to work around, like say with the likes of Gerrard and Rooney. They've not had that kind of really powerful inspiration from those players because they've never performed on that stage, only at club level. So, I don't know, Jack, do you want to sum us up? What do you think?
For me, I don't think Roy is the right man for the job. And the reason I say that is I do agree England is a long-term project. But Roy isn't the youngest of managers. I feel as if he maybe has his mind somewhat in the past. I'd like to see an exciting manager bring in some new ideas to the table, look to develop the England side that's now coming up and through, and try and instill a bit more kind of modern football, the kind of football that, as you mentioned, these players have grown up looking at. And for me, I 100% agree this is not a 4-year kind of thing. It's not going to just happen overnight, an England kind of reform. But I just don't think Roy is the right man for the job, and I think we're sticking with him for another 8 years would be a mistake.
No,
I agree. I definitely think 8 years is too long. But I think the key thing is no one's got a crystal ball. No one's going to know exactly how it's going to work out. But what would be better, right? Would it be better that Roy gained the system and played, you know, Lambert and Gerrard and the older guys who aren't going to be around for the next tournament to get us to say, I don't know, a quarter-final in this World Cup, right? Which is pretty much par for where we've finished over the last sort of 20 years.
Yeah.
And then next tournament, he does the same. And then tournament after that, we don't qualify. And then tournament after that, we get knocked out in the group stage.
Yeah.
Or is it better that, and I'm not trying to turn these negatives into a positive. Obviously, what's happened this tournament is massively depressing. But is the fact that he played the younger team, selected younger players, and did even get a 90 minutes of a third group game to play a lot of them, gonna stand us in good stead? And maybe in 1 or 2 tournaments from now, we might hit a semi-final. We might, you know, get that one step further that we haven't done since 1990. So who's to say? I don't necessarily think that will happen, but I think that if he's part of a programme, I don't think Roy is leading the ship necessarily. I think he's been brought in to do a job from the FA, and they're telling him exactly what he needs to be doing. And as long as he makes those decisions, i.e. picking the young guys, they're not going to get rid of him.
Yeah, I think the FA are quite happy to see Roy as a yes man, and I'm not entirely sure Roy thinks he's a yes man. But I think the FA certainly look at him that way and think you'll come in because, one, you're not going to kick up a fuss like Harry would. You didn't cost us as much as Harry would, and you're not going to whinge as much as Harry would. So he's less of a problem. Like he's not an awful manager. He's there to mediate the situation that we're in.
Just Roy's speciality is taking bad teams and getting results with them. It's not necessarily winning tournaments, winning leagues or what have you. Right. So that's what they saw us as a bad team, which we are. And we need someone to look after us to not embarrass us too badly for the next sort of 4 or 5 years when he was brought in. And that's kind of what he's done. I mean, it could have gone better this time round, but even Italy didn't get out of the group. So
yeah.
But you look at Italy and Prandelli's gone. So
yeah.
You know.
Who do you think for England's been their underperformers? I know Rooney's the obvious candidate, and even for me as a Liverpool fan, I don't think Sturridge has been good enough. I really you look at the chances that he's had, he just hasn't taken any. I don't know how you guys feel about particular underperformers. I mean, we don't want to harp on about England throughout the podcast for the rest of the World Cup, so I kind of feel like we should get all of this out now.
This is the last time that we mentioned.
Yeah.
I think there's some obvious players who haven't really stepped up. I think Glenn Johnson was a worry before the tournament. I think Gerrard had a poor tournament, as much as it hurts me to say so. There's two ways you look at Rooney. You say he worked hard and he created a goal and scored a goal, or you say that he's lazy, he doesn't fit the system, and he's playing because he's Wayne Rooney. I'm more inclined to think in the latter way of that. Aside from that, as Spencer points out, we're just a young side gaining experience. We're not there to do the best job we can do. It didn't feel like that anyway. It felt like we were there to just get this over and done with, move on to the next tournament, see how we do there, and then continue up till the FA in 2022, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there was a few people that maybe had individual errors at certain points, like the Gerrard backhead and stuff. But other than that, I think everyone was pretty much on the same level in terms of performance. The only person really, and we knew about Glenn Johnson, we knew about potential weaknesses. The only person that really underwhelmed me a little bit was, to be honest, was Leighton Baines. Because he's been waiting for this chance. This is his first tournament going into it as our starting left back, and he's had all the plaudits, best left back in the league for the last 2 years. You know, is he going to go to Man U? Is he not? is he going to be playing Champions League football? Maybe he needed to be playing Champions League football because he obviously hasn't had enough experience on the biggest stage. Because for me, even simple things like some of his deliveries from free kicks and stuff I thought were quite poor, and defensively he just wasn't. I was looking forward to his time in the sun, but now I think it's more about getting Luke Shaw in.
Yeah. For me, like, Baines was left very open in a lot of the games. I feel like playing Rooney out on the left was a mistake. In terms of defensively, it left us quite open, even when Welbeck played there. And I think the big thing for Baines is, as much as his defensive game is strong, a lot of his strength comes from his ability to put it across into the box. And in the Uruguay game, he didn't make a single pass into the area. I kind of feel as if Roy set out a team the way he wanted to play, and I don't think it necessarily fitted the players in the system. And I think Baines was one of the big players who really suffered from that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we should move on.
I can't wait to get my teeth into this next game.
Very good. So yeah, the other game in the group was the big game of the day. Really, it was Italy versus Uruguay, and it was quite a boring game. Not much happened. Just Uruguay Godin scored. Italy didn't look up for it. So shall we move on? Japan won, Colombia 4.
That's a big one, isn't it? Japan.
Okay, no, let's talk about it. Well, we'll do it in chronological order. So Balotelli's tackle was the first highlight of the game. Spencer, what do you think of that particular moment?
I don't know. Balotelli and Suarez on the same pitch is just dangerous things waiting to happen, isn't it?
Something was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, but Balotelli, we all know about him, don't we? Like, this talk about him supposedly coming back to the Premiership next year. I don't know why I wouldn't want my team to buy him. I love watching him, but he does things like what he did yesterday, you know, and he would have missed their next round game if they'd got through as a result. So, yeah, I mean, he scored them 1 goal this tournament. But Italy need another big striker. I think he needs some competition. I know they got Immobile, but he's not done it yet really for Italy. He's done it in the league, but they need someone to come and challenge him. And I think even at AC Milan at the moment, he's playing in a quite poor team, and they're not performing very well. If he's going to ever reach his potential, which I think he won't now, he needs to be playing in a better team. And to play in a better team, he has to have a better mentality. So there's his problem.
Yeah. He's not being pushed, like he's not got Totti, Di Natale, Del Piero around him to really push him and inspire him. No. He is kind of the big man in that team, as far as going forward is. Obviously, you've got Pirlo and what else, and Buffon at the back. But you really, like, as a striker, you need someone to look up to. And right now, Balotelli doesn't have that. As you point out, he doesn't have it at Milan, and he doesn't have it with Italy, sorry. And he's not going to get it if he goes to Arsenal with Giroud, I don't think either. So he's a funny one. So what happen next?
It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Italy as well, because Pirlo and Buffon are done now, I think, internationally. So who's their young names coming through? Like El Shaarawy wasn't in the tournament. Like I'm not massively aware of their sort of under 21 squad at the moment, but I don't know if they've got a new generation coming through.
They have got a few very good players coming through. They've got a player called Seri who plays for Parma, who's I think 18 now, and he's been doing really well in Serie A, kind of coming on off the bench for them. For me, I kind of feel like Italy are very much like AC Milan in terms of they've kind of had this era of great players, and I kind of think that the Milan great era kind of fizzled out when Pirlo went to Juve, you know, a few years back. And I do feel like Balotelli has suffered as a result of that. And I mean, Milan's kind of league standing really emphasises this problem that I think goes beyond just them and can be seen in the national side.
Yeah, I agree. So, Luis Suarez bit someone. I'm not sure how else to put it. Like, he grabs Chiellini and doesn't get the ball, and then does what he did against Ivanovic and just gnaws at him. Like, as a Liverpool fan, what do you say? People, like, can I just point out, if you're a Liverpool fan defending him, stop now, because you look like a fucking idiot. Sorry, Mrs. Jack, I know you don't like my language, but you look so stupid defending him. Like Spencer, take over.
This is the worst thing about the Suarez biting thing, right? His team always wins when it happens. He's bit 3 times and his team's won. First of all, England players, whenever we do stuff like that, and we never bite, we do stupid, petulant things like Beckham flick or a little push or something. We always get sent off in the game, and we always lose the game. But Suarez's team wins. So, I mean, he's obviously going to get banned, and Uruguay aren't going to, I imagine, going to go much further without him. But they have got another game. They have got further than England. Two World Cups in a row, Suarez has cheated in some way. Obviously, last time he did the handball, got sent off, but it ended up helping his team go through. This time, whether the biting helped them go through or not is kind of hard to really really prove, but it's still, he's just a nutter. I think that he needs help. I know people talked about this before with the last time it happened for Liverpool, and he was supposed to have had some anger management or something, but something takes over, because there's no way, unless he just doesn't care about having a ban, which he will this time round, because it's going to be much more than 10 games. He must just have a thing in his head that flips, Joey Barton-esque. He just goes into a place and starts wanting some man meat.
See, the thing with me is, I agree he needs help, but if a player has anger management issues, and if a human, this is getting very deep and psychological now, but if a human has anger management issues, it comes out in different ways in different situations. And for me, to bite 3 people, especially the most recent 2 being in almost the exact same manner, I don't think it's an issue with anger. I think something's happened when he's been younger. Just because... No, I know that sounds really bad.
Jack's psychoanalysis, everyone. Carry on.
No.
He's got like a biting fetish or something.
Probably. Breaking news, Daily Mail, print that story right now.
People will come out who live in Uruguay when he was younger saying, I was bitten by Suarez once. Here's the evidence on the front page of the Daily Mail.
The point I'm making is that if someone's angry, like, they would hit someone, there'd be different ways of them showing it. Unless he thinks that his gnashers are like his most lethal weapon, which I've not even considered until now.
He's got big teeth. They are big teeth.
To be fair, if he's going to use a weapon in his arsenal, if it's not going to be his right foot, his teeth is the next best thing.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, we should give him credit for that. Like, that is initiative right there. Thinking, you know what? I really want to hurt this person, and I don't want to do it in a conventional send-off sort of way. I'm going to bite them. But
the thing is, we should remember as well that this biting is not the only thing he's done. He's had the racism thing with Evra, and all the not shaking hands, and he's just a bad egg. He's not a nice guy. The funny thing is, if he was Peter Crouch, he'd be absolutely forgotten about, cast away from society, never have a football club to play for in the top flight again. Obviously, he's a great footballer, and I think he's ruined his big move now, though. If Real Madrid, last year when Arsenal got associated with buying him, I'm not an Arsenal fan, I'm a West Ham fan, but I like what Arsenal do as a football team in terms of the way they play and the way they run their business. And for them suddenly to get associated with Suarez, I thought that was a real low. I'm glad it didn't happen for them, because I would have lost a lot of respect for the way Arsenal run their football club. Because yes, he's great, and it's different when he plays Liverpool. I'm not saying Liverpool necessarily behaved badly when he's already playing for you and you bought him years ago before the second incident and all this stuff. But for Arsenal to buy him, I thought would have been a bad move for them from a PR sense. They might have won the league, who knows? But and that may be what they really care about. But for now, because it's happened a third time, Real Madrid or Barcelona to come out and buy him now, I think
Barca won't touch him. Barca will not touch him. Not a chance.
Is it bad as a Liverpool fan? Can I just start by saying it made me feel very differently this time seeing him bite Chiellini to when he bit Ivanovic in the Premier League, and I think that is because I'm a Liverpool fan. So when you see it in a Liverpool shirt, like, indirectly you kind of feel slightly differently about it. But to see this happen now, I feel very differently about it. But to me, in a very cynical way, the bite is one of the best things that's happened to Liverpool Football Club this summer, because he's not going to get that move away. Assuming he doesn't get banned at club level, which I'd be surprised if he did, given the fact it happened in a national game, but we'll wait and see. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Liverpool if he can't get a move this year and he's banned for a year from international matches. But what do you guys think on the punishment side of things? What is? I know we're going to come on to it later with the Twitter question kind of thing, but to me, I don't know if they can do anything at club level.
Just before we get onto that, I've got it in the notes. A Norwegian gambler won 1,600 yesterday after backing Suarez to actually bite someone with odds at 175 to 1. Why are the odds only 175 to 1 for a footballer to bite someone?
Because it's Luis Suarez.
I know, but that's
quite good odds.
They are really good odds. But by the same token, they're still quite low. Like, you wouldn't for example, if you said, Rooney's gonna shit on someone's chest. Sorry, Mrs. Jack. The odds would be so high, but for a fellow professional to bite another one, it's only 175 to 1.
They'd be lower if the person he was shitting on was an old age pensioner. They'd be a bit lower. Part of the package.
True, yeah. Part of Rudy's package. No. So, it worries me that it's that kind of. We're in a situation now. Like, the odds for example, Leighton Baines to score a hat trick in the in a World Cup game would have been so much higher than that. And it's like, he takes free kicks as well, but they would have been like 600 to 1 for Baines to do it. 175 to 1 for Suarez to bite someone. Oh no!
You are bagging on the fact England will score 3 though, which
but come on. By the same token, he's done it. And the worst thing about the Suarez thing for me is that we all thought he's changed a little bit. He's a nice guy. He's had a wonderful year. He's not done anything too controversial apart from fall over a few times. And then all of a sudden that happens, and we're back to all giving him evils and whatnot. So
I don't know I don't know who he was playing against when he did it for Ajax, but it's interesting that both times have been big games, like Liverpool, Chelsea, and obviously a World Cup clash that was going to define whether they went through to the next stage or not. So maybe it's just when that added level of tension comes in, he snaps. But I think what you're saying about Liverpool, I think you're right. It's like we all thought he'd got better, and it's like when you give and it's like an addict. You give an addict another chance.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said this. Sorry to interrupt, but he was playing against PSV for Ajax. So once again, big game. There you go. So it's 3 massive games, big derbies, and not international derby, but massive match. He just flips. He can't handle it. Maybe don't play him in the big games. That's the secret.
Doesn't score in them, to be fair.
No.
I think it will work out well for Liverpool if, like you say, one, he doesn't get banned domestically, which they can do.
Yeah.
And
I'd be surprised if they do that. I'll be very surprised if they do that.
Cantona got banned for all football when he did his kick.
Yeah.
That wasn't in a FIFA match, but it applied to all football, so he got banned for France as well, even though it's in a domestic thing. But the other thing as well is whether he's going to do it again, because he's great value to you. You're going to be in the Champions League, and he's probably going to want to stay and be part of it now because he won't be able to get his move. But if he does it in the Champions League and gets another, the problem is you don't really have an option to sell him now. So it's not even like a choice for you. It's just you got to keep him and hope it works out.
Yeah. The only way he can, like, his value has gone from being. I've been saying the whole summer that I don't think he'll go, and if he does go, Liverpool won't accept anything lower than 100 million. That may sound ridiculous, but I generally think Liverpool would say no to 90, 80 million. I think it would take 100 million. Now they'd arguably take 65.
I thought
that is a huge drop in value.
He doesn't have a 75 million buyout clause. Is that not in the contract?
No, I don't think it's I think that's just a rumour. I don't think that's in his contract. He's increased a new deal to do with if he's in the Champions League. There's no clause, but he's now got like a £80,000 wage rise if you believe what you read. He's now on 200 grand or something.
I feel like we're getting bogged down in the bike. Should we move on to the actual goal or?
Oh, well, Godin scored. And Uruguay through.
Yeah, well done. Well done, Uruguay.
Yeah. If you're looking for analysis on this game, you've come to the wrong place. So that means Uruguay now go forward, as do Costa Rica into the next round. Uruguay will be without Suarez. I've no doubt about that.
The worst thing about it is that the best thing about watching Uruguay is watching Suarez. That's done. He's not going to watch him anymore. So I wish Italy had gone through because I love watching Pirlo. So that single bite, cost us seeing either of them anymore, and probably Pirlo ever again on the international scene.
He's ruined it for everyone.
I do think Italy bit themselves in the foot though by
stop it now. Stop it.
By getting the sending off. Was it Marquisio went off? We didn't mention that, but at 0-0 they got a sending off, and that really did change the game. I know Italy hadn't had a shot in the second half when the sending off happened, but they didn't look like conceding. And when you're chasing a game, you've made all 3 subs and you're down to 10 men, and you've got that option to change the game. That really did cost Prandelli.
Italy looked tired against Costa Rica, and they looked tired again yesterday. Sorry, it seems like they put everything into England. They felt like if they won that game, they'd be able to beat Costa Rica, and they'd be able to either draw or beat Uruguay. And it just didn't work out like that. And by the end of, and obviously with 10 men fighting against the Uruguayan side, who were pretty good, no matter what Suarez did. With Suarez, they looked done. They looked completely done. So we'll move on, Jack, to your team.
The dream's over, isn't it?
The dream is over. Jack's been back in Japan since the very start, and Colombia, who look in phenomenal form, I've got to say, gave him a bit of a pasting, Jack.
You say, I've got to be honest, Japan, I think, were the best team in Group D or C. It's just they couldn't finish.
Right, well, let me stop you there. They won because they finished bottom.
Like, I don't know, Spencer, if you watch many of the Japan games, but they probably played some of the more exciting football in that group, in my opinion. I think Colombia showed how good they were on the break yesterday. I think Japan created a lot more chances. They got that late goal with Greece leading. Japan at half-time knew they needed to score 1 goal, get the win, and it was theirs. And they had everything but the cutting edge and the finisher in the box, Japan, for me. They dominated games. They showed against Greece, where they had 75% possession, that they could control games. They just had no one to bang it in the back of the net.
Yeah, so Colombia took the lead. Then Ozaki scored a great header, actually. It was a really different header. You don't see that sort of header every day. And then Jackson Martinez scores a double in about 25 minutes. He scored 2 goals. Second one was an absolute beauty. Cut back onto his left, popped it in the corner, showing Colombia's strength in depth. Like the fact they can bring on someone like Jackson Martinez and still win games comfortably. So there's a lot. And then Jimmy Rod, turns up at the end and scores the goal of the game, and they will face Uruguay. What did you make of that game overall, Spencer?
Well, yeah, I think James Rodriguez is probably the player of the tournament, if not
James.
definitely in the top. It's James, mate.
It's
I thought it was
James.
James as
Jimmy.
well.
It's Jimmy
I called
Ross.
him James for ages.
I'm not
Everyone
taking
goes
it.
mental.
I'm not taking it. We had this chat on another
call him Hammy.
podcast. What, Hammy Rod?
Rodriguez. Hammy Rod, yeah.
Hammy Rod. Hammy Rod it is.
Can we meet in
Hammy
the middle?
Rod
then?
and Arjun Rob are probably the two best players so far. And yeah, he did it again. He's scored in every game now, hasn't he, Jimmy? And
Yeah.
so he's doing really well. And yeah, like you say, the depth of the attacking options for Colombia is frightening, considering Falcao's not even there.
Yeah.
Like, if they had him there, they'd have, like, well, one of them wouldn't, but I guess they'd have crazy options. I don't think it'll be their attack that will decide how far they go, though. It'll be how they can do at the back against the better teams. And they smashed Group C. Group C ended up being one of the really entertaining groups, to be honest, where it ended as well. Felt slightly sorry for Ivory Coast, but
Yeah.
in Greece, you know...
Should we come on to that game?
Yeah, sure.
So Samoa scored quite early on. It was a bit of a FIFA goal. And then Ivory Coast struck back with Boney in the second half. And then late doors, Samaras pops up. He gets the responsibility and scores the penalty in the 93rd minute, was it? 94th
Yeah,
minute?
93rd, I think it was.
Last
It's
kick of the
crazy.
game, pretty much. And actually, no, it wasn't the last kick of the game. The last kick of the game was Kolo Touré from about 40 yards. And he missed, obviously. So, Spencer, you've said you were gutted for Ivory Coast. What went wrong, do you think, for Ivory Coast?
Well, the thing is, they were playing the Greece team, which from day one, from the first game, was set up to not create a lot of chances, but just to try and get something on the counter attack. And they obviously didn't even get a goal in their first two games, but it all worked out for them quite well in the Ivory Coast game. They took their chances really well, and the Ivory Coast didn't. I think the only real player that played particularly well for Ivory Coast's tournament has been Gervinho. Oh, maybe Boney, you could argue as well, who got a goal off the bench and another one in the first game. But yeah, Gervinho had been really good, much to the annoyance of Arsenal fans, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's kind of similar to their last two tournaments. They haven't really lived up to potential. And the unfortunate thing for them is that in the first two tournaments they played in, they had the excuse of having the group of death, which they definitely didn't this time. And they are definitely have underperformed to not go through, because even Japan were a lot of people's underdogs, but I still feel like Ivory Coast had enough to have gone through. I think the Colombia game was really big for them. They needed to get a draw. And, fundamentally, they would have still gone through with a draw last night, and they didn't get it. So
Yeah. Well, Greece set up like you'd expect. Ivory Coast, they looked a little bit blunt, which you wouldn't expect with Yaya Touré, Drogba, Boney, etc. And Gervinho, who has had a really good tournament. What did you make of the game, Jack, or were you glued to Japan?
I had both up, don't you worry, although I must admit Japan was on my big screen.
What did you think about the penalty? I'll ask you about that. Was it a pen?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think if I'm Greece, I feel hard done by that it's not being given if it isn't given, in the same way that Ivory Coast probably feels somewhat gutted that it was given. For me, this group was really intriguing just because you had three teams in Ivory Coast, Colombia and Greece who all counter in slightly different ways. And I feel as if that might be what cost Japan along with poor finishing. But in this game, Greece played more positively than they have in their other games. Sure, they weren't, all out attacking, and they played incredibly direct. But I kind of feel like they kind of dug deep and probably deserved to go through just off yesterday's performance. I know they weren't the better team, and I was gutted when Boney scored to equalise for Greece and for Japan, because Japan needed Ivory Coast to lose. But I mean, Greece are the masters of the 1-0. Their last kind of 7 wins in major tournaments, 4 of them have been 1-0 and 3 of them have been 2-1. You can't really argue against the fact that they're the kind of team who are going to pop up like that. And it was a very Greek performance.
It was. I think Ivory Coast will feel like this was their opportunity to make a stance at this World Cup. And I don't want to overdo it, but I think they've really let themselves down. I expected them to go through. I didn't actually have Japan as a dark horse. Go back and listen. I didn't think Japan were as good as Ivory Coast or Colombia in any way, shape or form. I genuinely didn't. I thought they had 3 or 4 good attacking players, and aside from that, they weren't that strong. So I'm not surprised they finished bottom. I am very surprised that Greece managed to pull out getting through the group. I can't believe they've done it because of the way they set up. They set up to defend and play for a draw. And then in the last 2 games, actually, they showed a little bit more ambition. So, credit to them. So obviously now they've set up the plum tie of the next round against Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, Greece.
We'll all be tuning in for that one.
We missed something in the Colombia game, and that was the fact that Mondragon became the oldest ever World Cup player.
And he's got one of the best names in World Cup history.
Can I just say the name? Like, if my name had dragon in it, like, you're loving life, aren't you?
Jack Mondragon.
I
can do that.
You're loving life. I might change my middle name to Dragon just so I can be.
You're more
cool.
of a, we could call you Jack Mon Lizard, maybe. Just change it up a
But
little
the fact that he came up 43, like, I've signed him in Football Manager. You can actually find him. He's not that bad in the Prem. But for me, just to see him come on, like, it was a Football Manager sub, wasn't it? Kind of in the World Cup, we criticised Roy for sentimental picks, and then you've got Mondragon, who's 43 years old.
Yeah, but he could have brought him on because of his name. Like, maybe it wasn't sentimental. Maybe it was just like, if we're going to have a player to win this World Cup, Mondragon is the man. You've
just got the Colombia manager shouting, "We're bringing on the dragon," and all the Japanese are sat like, "My God, they have a dragon."
He's trying to get them to fire them up.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, they actually do have dragons in Japan as well, so they'll be familiar with what they're like, Godzilla and stuff.
Luckily, you've got a dragon expert. Tell us more.
I mean, that's as far as my dragon knowledge goes.
Right, well,
I know that there was a couple of dragons there back in the 50s.
Right. Well, if you are a dragon enthusiast, get in touch for the Fans Show on Twitter.
We'll have you as a guest in a few episodes.
Anyway, speaking of Twitter, it's time for the Twitter question. I will come to you two gentlemen with an answer after I've done this. And brilliantly, I just closed the tab.
I have it. Don't you worry.
Okay, well, the question was, how would you punish Luis Suarez? And you couldn't say things like life ban or 6-game ban or a fine. You had to be creative. So we've got a few written down here. Thank you for answering the question. I'll let you boys think about it. I'll come to you in a second. The first one was Cinnamon Challenge by Sydney Sam. Not the Sydney Sam, but I would have quite liked to see him do it. Maybe would he have had to do it like on the pitch?
Is that what you do instead? When someone bites another player on the football pitch, the ref just brings out like a cinnamon kind of pot and goes, "Right, get it down, yeah."
Maybe you could definitely, if you put it on YouTube, he did really well with that one as well. Apparently, Joe. I don't know if it's Joe from Ireland or he's called Joe Ireland. Has said that he'd have to have his two front teeth pulled out, one by Chiellini and one by Ivanovic. Like classic when you were younger, get a bit of string around it. Ooh. Finley said, make him watch the same series of Scooby-Doo for around 3 hours, then give him a test on villains. I don't know if that's a punishment or if that's a treat. Really.
Well, are you training him as like a police officer now? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to set like you have your canine unit, and the police pull up. They open the boot, open the cage, and Luis Suarez crawls out. He's been trained.
FIFA Flames said, make him eat before games, which sounds really obvious. But if
you get a stitch, you get a stitch, though, wouldn't you?
Would get a stitch. At half time, everyone's having their oranges, and he's just tucking into a Big Mac. He's like, I've got to get it out. I've got to get it in. Someone said, let him taste some of Susan Boyle, then he'll never bite another human again. Harsh.
Do they know from experience?
They've not put that, but we can only assume that James Eriksson thinks that. So
I think I read a story in the Daily Mail about him biting Susan. So,
and the final one was from Lee, who said, pull his teeth out and call him Gummy Suarez.
Boys, call him names. That's his solution, is it? Call him names.
Call him horrible names. So Spence, we'll start with you. What would you do to punish him?
Well, I'm surprised no one's gone with the obvious answer, which is to put a muzzle on him.
Yes.
Because that's obviously going to solve the problem straight away. I don't even see what the problem would be with that. Why wouldn't you do that? Like, why don't we do that? There hasn't been a footballer that bites people before. Now there is. Everyone wants him to keep playing. Muzzle him. Done.
He could get it sponsored by Adidas.
Probably and Adidas, like, make a
Czech's got the deal with his little head thing. Little head thing. Saves his life. And then we could get Louis an Adidas-sponsored muzzle. I'm all for it. Jack, what would you do?
I'd get one of the physiotherapists for whatever team he's at on the sideline throwing him treats so he doesn't get hungry. You could maybe get a stick and attach it on top of his head with holding meat dangling in front of him.
You're picturing a zookeeper, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So you think we should get a zookeeper? I'm all for the muzzle idea. I would love to see him in an Adidas-sponsored muzzle because then you'd see kids buying muzzles. They'd just be wearing muzzles. Sunday League kids just wearing a muzzle. Just like, oh, well, if Louis can do it. Hang on, there's a flaw with this. If he wears a muzzle, how's he going to do his kiss celebration on his hand?
He isn't.
Well, he's not. That's the punishment, I guess.
I think, he can have to put up with that. And if he's going to score, we're going to allow him to play. So he can just not have his little kiss his hand celebration and get over that, Louis.
He'll have to change it up. So we'll go on to today's games. Obviously, we've talked quite in depth about what happened yesterday with Louis in England and whatnot. So we'll gloss over them. We'll do a little bit of chat, but we'll mainly focus on score predictions because that's always fun to make us look daft. So we'll start with Group E, France versus Ecuador. Ecuador likely to be unchanged, whereas France maybe without Sacco, who limped off. Varane, should be okay, but there's a question mark over him as well. And Kabay misses out with a 1-match ban due to collecting 2 yellow cards. Spencer, we'll start with you. How do you see this game going? France versus Ecuador. France have looked pretty good.
Yeah, France have been my. I mean, it's weird to call them underdogs, but they were underdogs going into this tournament. You know, they weren't even top seeds in the group. Switzerland were. I've got a bet on them to get to the final as well, so I'm hoping they do well. I think they will beat Ecuador, but Ecuador have been well. The other Valencia, Enna Valencia, has been quite good. But I think if France played to their strengths, even with the few injuries they may have, people like Benzema and I think Valbuena has been really good so far as well.
Yes.
Could just tear them apart.
What would your score prediction for this game be?
I'm going to say 2-1 to France.
All right, Jack, we'll get a score prediction and I'll ask you about Honduras, Switzerland.
Can I just say, in our notes, we've got written down what Varane's injury is. I'm hoping one of you can tell me how the hell that's pronounced.
No, I glossed over it. I just said he might be okay.
Is it
because I read the start of it.
Gastroenteritis? I don't know. It sounds serious, whatever it is. My score prediction, I'll go with 3-1 France. I think Ecuador have enough to maybe grab a goal, but France have just looked so potent in the final third. I can see them banging a few in.
I'm going with a 4-0. I think Benzema might score a 4. I've got a weird feeling. I don't know what it is. Honduras,
gastroenteritis. Sorry, that's how you say it.
Have you Googled it?
No, I'm just looking on the thing. Gastroenteritis.
What is that?
I was hoping you had
it's
knowledge
going to be
on
something
dragons.
stomach-based.
It sounds really... It's just a stomach bug is what it is. It's like...
Hang on, everyone. Jack's Googling it. He's just copied it so he can paste it
I need to know. Your stomach and intestines become inflamed, usually due to a viral or bacterial infection. So it's a stomach ache.
Maybe he's been bitten by Louis and it's just,
it's spread.
We can't put it past him.
That's the other thing. The other thing is, just to go back, the reason Suarez should wear a muzzle is because, for all we know, he might have rabies.
Yeah,
right.
Like rabid dogs.
Yeah, I've not thought about it in such detail, Spencer, but I'm pleased you've put out the possibility.
He might have rabies.
Jack, Honduras, Switzerland. The Swiss team got absolutely pumped by France.
They have a point
played
to prove.
Late in the game. So do you think they're going to beat Honduras, who aren't that good?
Yes, I'm predicting to Honduras. They're going to be losing the game 2-0 by half-time, and then they're going to have 2 sendings off in the second half, and it's going to finish 5-0 Switzerland. Get a bet on it.
Okay, well, Palacios is available again, so I don't know how long he'll be on the pitch for, because he is a bit of a psycho. Not in the same way that Louis is, but he's just prone to multiple bad tackles. How do you see this one going, Spencer, score-wise?
I think Switzerland definitely win it. I mean, Honduras aren't even playing football; they're playing rugby, aren't they? They're not even. They're at the Rugby World Cup. They think they're at a different event. It's weird. They also need help, like the Suarez situation. They should just get a bulk deal. Everyone sits down to see the same therapist, and they just explain to everyone what the situation is. And I think Switzerland and Ecuador are on the same points, aren't they? So Switzerland need to win against Honduras to help convince. I mean, even technically France could not go through. If it all went, if there was a lot of goals from Switzerland and France, because their goal difference is crazy, +6 France. I think Switzerland will win. I'm going to say they'll beat Honduras 2-0.
Jack, did you give me a score prediction?
I did 5-0.
Oh, 5-0. Okay, I'll go with 2-1.
I was thinking, with Honduras being a rugby team, obviously we can't give them a muzzle. So do we give everyone on the pitch whenever Honduras plays American football kind of padding for those games?
It's getting ridiculous, Jack. If you're not going to take this podcast seriously, then.
Yeah, come on, mate.
I don't think you're right for it. I've got a dragon and an illness expert here, and then I've got you coming out with that sort of nonsense.
I'm sorry.
Jesus. All right. Anyway, Group F. Bosnia play Iran. Both teams have been they've had differing World Cups. Bosnia have been underwhelming, as we've glossed upon many times. Iran actually haven't been that bad. They put Argentina to the sword without scoring, and then Messi, did the Messi thing and scored late. They're likely to be unchanged. So how do we see this going? Well, we'll just go for score predictions of Bosnia Iran, because although Iran can still go through, I'm not sure how likely it is. So yeah,
I think Bosnia are going to do something good and actually go home with a little bit of pride. They can't go through, but I think they'll win 2-1.
All right, Jack.
Bosnia better bloody do something. I've got Dzeko and Svakic, if that's how you even say his name, in my fantasy football team.
Yeah,
they've both done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This is your chance to redeem. I love Dzeko before this tournament. I think he was one of the more likeable players in world football. I hate him after this. He's ruined my chances.
Okay.
So,
he did score last game, to be fair. They just didn't give it to him. He scored there. Like Raheem Sterling against Italy. He scored as well.
That was the best moment of England's tournament, by the way. Like, that was my favourite moment of the tournament.
There was like
as
10
far as
seconds where
England
the
go.
country thought we were going to win the World Cup. Like,
It was
10
it was
minutes into the game.
I was thinking, he scored the best goal I've ever seen, and then you just see him run back, and you're like, he's not even celebrating. He's celebrating where's Houlihan.
Why is BBC saying goal? I'm so confused. Where am I? Where am I? I don't even know how to feel.
That's a good point. Argentina, Nigeria. Argentina will probably rest players considering they're comfortably through. Facing a Nigeria side that need to win to confirm their place in the last.
But if Nigeria win, they finish top.
Okay, yes, if they win, they finish top. But I think they need a draw to guarantee themselves.
Yeah,
qualification, and if Iran win by a certain amount of goals, Nigeria lose, Iran could switch with Nigeria, which, it's not impossible. We've seen some crazy things happen in this World Cup. We'll just do the score predictions again. We'll start with Jack this time.
I think Odawingi and his crew aren't going to get any goals. I think Argentina may rest a few players. I don't think they'll rest too much. But I do kind of still feel like Argentina, even kind of a reserve side, can beat Nigeria. Yeah. I'm going to go with 3-1 Argentina.
I think that's going to say. You were going to say 3-1 as well. You can't now; it's gone. So
that's fine. I'm going to say 2-1 instead.
Oh, controversial.
Right. We now come to everyone's favourite moment of the show, which is the For the Fans quiz. Now, for those that don't know how it works, and Spencer, I'm not sure if you're fully aware, we've had a few people on who haven't been listening to the show, so I hope you're not one of those people. So we have 30 seconds on the clock. Jack will time it. So far, I think Jack and Kevani are leading the way. A few other FIFA YouTubers haven't done quite so well. I don't want to mention names, but Nepenthes and Calfreezy were pathetic. Jack, are you ready with 30 seconds?
I'm ready with 30 seconds.
Right. Spencer, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Who wears the number 7 shirt for Uruguay?
Forlan.
Incorrect. Luis Suarez. Who wears the number 7 shirt for Liverpool?
Suarez.
Correct. Who beat Italian defender Giorgio Chiellini?
Suarez.
Who is Uruguay's second highest goal scorer in their history?
Suarez?
Incorrect, Diego Forlan.
You tricked me.
Which Uruguayan forward has spells at Manchester United, Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan?
Forlan.
Correct. How many red cards has Luis Suarez received in his Liverpool career?
3.
Incorrect, 0.
That's time.
In terms of percentage, oh no, the best question was coming up. Okay, for half a point. In terms of percentage, how much of Edison Cavani is female?
39%.
Incorrect, 66%. Oh, well, but you did
make
quite
him
well.
male. That makes him female. That makes him female. You got to round it up. That means he's female. He wouldn't be allowed to play. I want a recount. I don't think that's fair.
Well,
he
we'll
wouldn't
look
be allowed to play in the World Cup.
Uruguay and FA have got a lot on at the moment. Right. So you got 1, 2, 3. Oh, did you get 3? I think you got 3 right. Yeah.
Yeah, at least
3. So that's not too bad. That puts you in the middle.
Me with all the Suarez stuff at the start. It wasn't a great quiz, to be honest.
It was a fantastic. The first 4 answers, the first 3 answers were Luis Suarez. What do you mean it wasn't a great quiz?
Exactly. I thought it was diverse. I thought it was more diverse than that.
Well, we'll give you the clap for well done taking part in the quiz.
All right, thanks.
It was
Excellent.
well done. We'll move on to today's competition, Jack. But before we do that, tell us about our social media.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at ForTheFans Show. We're available on iTunes and YouTube. You can find all the links to all that good stuff over at www.forthefanshow.com.
Yeah, and to take part in the competition, you have up till half-time during the first games. The prizes on offer, you get a pick between these 4, are the 2003 Rugby World Cup review DVD, Goal 1, Destination Germany Kickoff 2006, and Adrian Charles' Too Good Too Bad World Cup edition, Goals, Class and Glory. So if you get 3 of the 4 scores right in today's games, you have a chance of winning these wonderful prizes.
You can leave them in the YouTube comments or on Twitter. You can just tweet us at ForTheFans Show with your predictions.
Can I thank Spencer for joining us?
You can.
Yeah, you can thank me, mate.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, mate. Thanks for having me.
No
worries. You can
worries.
find his links all over our description on YouTube. You can see it on the iTunes description as well. From me, Ben.
And Jack. And me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.